man, get that. Ooh.
Welcome back to Torque GT's P1 Resto series, and we are on episode 20 and it's done! Except I'm lying, we're on episode 7, it's not done, it is in 1,000,001 pieces. I've just come here to look at this gorgeous WRX STI version 6 V Limited, again to give it its full. Why do all these Japanese cars have names this long? Do you realise how many times I've had to memorise that name just to get it right, just so that I didn't cock it up? Anyway, I've literally come here to look at this car, to give me some inspiration as to what the car's going to look like, because when it's a bare shell, it can be disheartening. You think that you have a monumental task ahead, and you do have a monumental task ahead. But when you've got something that can tease you and go, look, if you put the effort in, it could be this, it makes you feel better. So in this episode, we have the prep for the shell, especially on the underside, paint, and on the inside. We have the fuel system, the fuel tank being cleaned up. We have the engine fully stripped and being inspected, and we are going to make a decision, hopefully, as to what we're going to do with the engine. We've also got a rarity in the showroom, a bright yellow Evo 5. Anyway, enough of me talking, let's go and see where we're up to. As you can see, shell prep is well underway. Everything's been DA'd off on the inside, all the sound deadening is now completely removed from all the vertical surfaces, all the seam sealer that was remaining, that has now gone. This lot will all get etch primed and then painted in 2-pack paint. The underside will get painted, stone chipped, everything to protect it. The prep on the outside will come later. For now, we just want to get everything that we're not going to see all painted and protected properly. Speaking of things that we're not going to see and painting and protecting them properly, let's go and have a look at some shot blasted parts that have been powder coated. The parts are back from shot blasting and they've been powder coated, but we're not 100% satisfied. Now, when we sent these away, we thought we'll get them shot blasted and we'll see what they come back like. If they're good, then happy days. If not, we'll try and source new ones. That's the case for a few of the parts. That suspension arm there, we've got new ones coming. We thought we'd see what it'd be like. It's crap. The cross members are decent. However, we're not feeling this gloss black finish. Really not feeling it. It's a bit too much. So we're going to address that. Let us know what you think. I reckon satin black, and obviously silver on various parts. Other things should have been blasted and then been zinc coated rather than painted or powder coated. But we're going to have to address that. Miscommunication. It happens. Right, moving on. So we're now finally getting round to stripping the engine. We threatened to do this in a previous episode, but life gets in the way. It's a very busy workshop and it's a very busy time of year here at Torque GT. But now we are going to disassemble this completely over on the workbench. For the minute though, we are struggling with all the heat shield bolts. The turbo bolts managed to come off. However, there's not much left of them, as you can see. This is what we're up against. The bottom end of this, it looks like it was sat in salt water. God knows how, because the rest of the car was actually really, really tidy. This is proving to be a pain in the arse. Obviously, we're not going to be able to reuse these bits because there's not much left of them. In fact, most of it's on the floor there. Sounds so simple, doesn't it? Let's just remove the exhaust manifolds and then we can get it on the bench. just remove the exhaust manifolds, not when they're in this sort of condition, because even the covers are an absolute pain in the arse to get off. We've had brute force, we've had angle grinders, and we've had swearing. But it's off, and now we can get it on the bench and start stripping everything else off it. This, for want of a better term, is foobarred. I'm sure you'll agree. And just like that, it's in pieces. Well done, Spence.
No worries, piece of cake.
It actually looks a fairly simple engine to work on.
Not too bad, yeah.
What I'm really impressed with, and you'll be able to see, is the colour of everything. It's all golden, it's been looked after. I've stripped a couple of old Ford engines in my time, and they were always carbon black deposits choking up on everything. This is all just golden oil, all deposited on the inside of every surface. The bearings, the shells, the white metal is really good condition, no major scores in anything, and that's on the big ends and the mains of the actual block. Looking through into the bores, I can see the original cross hatchings of where it's been bored out. It's absolutely spot on.
Spot on, yeah. It is in really good nick, isn't it?
Whoever had this car did cherish it. They warmed it up and they cooled it down and they gave it the oil changes when it needed it. Really, what should we do with it?
Yeah, it's not a great deal, is it? I reckon freshen it up, new shells, rings, seals, stuff like that, really.
Yeah, and put it back together. I mean, this car, because it is what it is, a P1, I doubt it's ever going to be turned into a modified 600 horsepower monster or anything.
Get it back to stock, innit?
Yeah, it was good then. It'll go on for another 100,000 miles easily.
Definitely.
Okay, so vapor blasting, soda blasting, something clean.
Clean it all up, get it back looking like
Get
new.
this aluminium. I hate this powdery stuff. Aluminium and steel, if they're not coated, want to return to the earth. So steel rusts, aluminium corrodes into a white powder, and it just looks horrible. But once it's all soda blasted, it looks fresh. It looks like it's come straight out of a casting.
Yeah, if not better.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. So I'm going to leave you to it, mate. Thanks very much. Cheers.
No worries.
And that's another stage of the underbody resto complete. Everything's been seam sealed, the epoxy's been keyed up, and it's been covered in this Dinatrol rust preventative elastic stone chip. Paint itself is brittle, so if you get a stone chip like you do on the front of your car, the paint is going to chip off. On the underside of a car, generally where the tyres are going to flip up gravel and dirt and stones and everything, we want this rubberized thick underseal paint to go on. That allows the stones to bounce off it. This will get a coating of paint on top, and it's going to be a solid 2-pack colour that is very, very, very close to the metallic of the actual P1. With the tank clean, we can see what we're left with. Now, the majority of it is very good. However, the problem is the corrosion is all concentrated around the seam here. The tank isn't leaking yet, but going any further and it could creep through the actual seam and start leaking fuel, and we don't want that. So we're going to have to order a new tank because it's not economical to repair this. It really wouldn't work out. It could be a pain in the arse, and it could be a potential hazard. Now, we can get a tank in the UK, but the only one that we can get is from a Spec C, and it's a lightweight tank. It's 50 litres rather than 70 litres. This hump on this side doesn't match that one. And that also gives us a problem that there's no sender on this side. Whereas on this tank, there is. So we can't really use these parts on there because the depth of this sender will be for that bowl and not that one. So hopefully soon enough the shipping gods will smile upon us and we shall have our new genuine Subaru P1 tank. Fresh in the showroom this week, although not fresh from Japan, is this dandelion yellow Evo 5 GSR. Now, as you can see, it is eye-searingly loud, a flying banana, if you will. What can I tell you about this car? They made 6,000 Evo 5s, which makes it very rare indeed, especially when you compare to an Impreza. However, the Impreza for you Aussies, basically kept the same shape and the same style and most of the same body panels throughout most of its GC8 life. The Evo, unsurprisingly, evolved. It was an evolution after evolution. Body panels, wider track, engine. Under the bonnet is the legendary 4G63T engine that found its way under the bonnet of every single Evo from 1992 to 2007. That should give you some idea of how good this engine is. It lasted 15 years in various guises. The architecture of that engine must have been incredibly strong. And we know it is because of the power outputs that people are getting from this engine. That is transferred via a manual gearbox through to all four wheels with active yaw control, front and rear limited slip diffs, big Brembo brakes up front. Now this is a rare car, they made 6,000 of them. However, we don't know how many dandelion yellow ones they made. So if you can give us that information with some proof to back it up, we will send you a Torque GT goodie bag of whatever we can find around the office and the workshop that anybody's left lying around. Now, this car has come in from a Torque GT customer. Torque imported it for him. He's traded it in and currently has an Impreza coming from Japan. I think his mum and his dad have all used Torque's personal import service as well over the years. So a recurring customer, he's kept this in lovely condition. It's going to be returned back to Torque standards and it will be for sale. So keep an eye out. Now, I actually really like this. To be honest, there isn't a car in this Hall of Legends that I don't like. So I'm going to plead with you now. The electric vehicle revolution is upon us. These cars are dying out. I'm feeling really sad about this, really emotional. Soon we won't be hearing the snap, crackle, pops, bangs, everything of cars like this, cars like that, cars like that. It'll just be silence. It's not a world I want to live in. So send me some money and I can buy this. And look at it. It matches my eyes. The lads in the paint shop have been incredibly busy. This is now ready for its final top coat and lacquer to go on it. Earlier, we did paint the underside in a solid colour. We've now changed that. It is now that gorgeous metallic blue with a lacquer. And we've done that underneath, inside, engine bay, everywhere. And we're now going to do the outside of the car and it will look the absolute dog's danglies. So, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, and next episode, that will be painted. Cheers.